Hello, friends, and welcome to a special series of the Doing What Matters podcast. I'm your co-host, Erica Vinson, and I'm thrilled to have you join us. While Teresa is on sabbatical until January of 2025, we have created a series of the best episodes from the past few years. These episodes are some of our favorite conversations, exploring the themes of life, business, and the essential elements that truly matter as we journey through life together. Teresa and I will be back with new episodes and guests in the new year. Let's dive into the best of the Doing What Matters podcast.
We have been in a series talking about the tool of the Enneagram. I always love inviting back my guest, Erica Vinson, when we have these conversations. Erica is a coach for us here at the Real Life Process. She also works as our network director, helping our coaches stay on track and getting certified. She is an Enneagram practitioner, certified with one of our favorite programs, Motions of the Soul. So, Erica, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
It's always good to have you back. This might be your first time to be over on our YouTube channel as well. Just as a reminder, we do have all of this over on our YouTube channel. I'm not sure, but either way, it's great to have you back.
Thanks so much.
I thought today, as you work as a coach internally for us here at the Real Life Process, coaching our coaches, using our process and the tool of the Enneagram is actually something that we do a pretty high level dive with our coaches on using the tool. You also use it in the private coaching work that you do. This episode is really going to dive into, number one, a little bit of what is coaching, and then how would you use a tool like the Enneagram in a coach approach. So let's dive in, Erica. How would we define coaching, and what lens do we look through when we talk about coaching?
That's a great question. There's so many good helping professions out there. There's an author named Gary Collins who wrote a book called Christian Coaching. He says coaching is the art and practice of enabling individuals and groups to move from where they are to where they want to be. And so it's all about forward movement, identifying where I am and what's possible.
I love that approach of the forward movement. I remember in my own story discovering, how does God want me to show up? How can I partner with people that I want to help, that I want to serve? What's the approach I want to take? We served together in ministry space. That was an approach we took through discipleship. Then I moved into spiritual direction training. And I remember sitting in the second year of spiritual direction going, I'm not sure this is quite it. And I Googled coaching. I came across Christian coaching through the International Coach Federation, ended up training at Professional Christian Coaching Institute. In getting all of that training, you've chosen the same path, but there's something about the forward movement that's different than some of the other things. Can you say a little bit about some of the other helping professions and how they're a little bit different than a coach approach?
Sure. Some others that we're familiar with and some of our coaches within the network even function, and their role might be with clients. One of those is counseling. Counseling is about healing past hurts and hangups. Often a counselor will look back in your story and invite you to notice where a wound is and dive deeper into that to provide healing. Another profession is mentoring, focusing on the mentee and following what are their strengths and their experiences and how can they continue to maybe even model after some of the life work you've done. We have a coach that works as a mentor for Baylor University. She works with young college students to be that example and help to draw out how they want to move forward. A consultant is another helping profession, someone who is hired to do a meeting with a higher level leader and do some visioning of where a team might want to go. They're paid to come in and say, here's my expertise and here's how I can help you move from A to B. They're more directive with the work they're doing. Spiritual direction is about being present with a client as the Holy Spirit is also present. It is about listening, trusting, and asking good questions to be very present with what God is doing in the life of that client.
Those are different ways that someone in the helping profession might show up. I have often said to clients that you might need more than one or two people on your team. We just wanted to define for you what is coaching. Within the real life process network community, we have all of those. Today on the call, we're talking about coach approach. Are people certified with us? We call them a coach because they're coaching our process. And we take a coach approach with that. In the work they do, they all show up differently. We've defined what a coach is. Let's think about this tool that we talk about, because many times a coach will have a tool in their tool belt. All kinds of tools we can use, from personality tools to assessment tools. We never want them to be a crutch, but we love the tool of the Enneagram and use it through one of the core competencies that the Coaching Federation talks about, active listening. Let's talk about that skill specifically, Erica. How do we define that skill, or how does the ICF define active listening?
The International Coach Federation, it's a competency 6 for those of you who are accredited coaches or interested in that type of coaching. It says focuses on what the client is and is not saying to fully understand what is being communicated in the context of the client's systems and to support client self-expression.
That's a really big definition, but I think it's helpful through the lens of that first part of is and is not saying. Because as we unpack the Enneagram, it is that connection of listening, active listening for what's not being said. In the actual application of the tool in a coaching conversation, let's talk about how you as a coach, or I as a coach, prepare ourselves and why the Enneagram can come in helpful. Explain how a tool like the Enneagram might help.
The Enneagram is helpful in preparing for meeting with a client, because really noticing what your energy is like. If you're a really forward moving person, there's a great example right before we hopped on this call, Teresa, and knowing your Enneagram type, you go, hey, just a minute, I'm going to write something down. That piece of self-management to know before we even hop on to record this podcast, there can be something that takes my attention. It's really noticing, am I needing to do any clearing in self-awareness? Is there an emotion that's coming up in me? Am I fearful about what this might be like? Do I need any further clarification? Do I need to turn off my notifications? How can I be present to bring my whole self to a call? It can be a quick check-in of what's going on in my head, anything I need to write down. How's my heart? Do I need to say anything? Check in with my feelings, my emotions. And how's my body? Do I want to stand up? Do I want to sit down? Paying attention to all of those things.
Erica just referenced 3 centers of intelligence. If you haven't watched this whole series on the Enneagram, go back a few episodes. We've done 3 or 4 episodes now just to dive in a little deeper to what those 3 centers are. Because what we're really talking about now is the application of that information into a coaching conversation, checking in, head, heart, body, what's going on for you. Depending on how much coaching you're doing, what can happen between a couple of calls? From a practical application standpoint, what feels good for you between calls?
I have to have margin. And if I don't claim that space, often because I am an independent contractor and I work with different companies and individual clients, there can be distractions or an email or a message that's needed. If I don't allow that space, when I move from one client to the other, I'm dragging in whatever baggage has happened.
That's been part of my discovery as a coach too. And owning my own company, having internal coaches, a team, larger clients I work with, is finding what feels right for me and the amount of coaching conversations I can have. I actually look at that. I have learned that for me to show up as my best self, I need a lot of margin. I can only do 1, maybe 2 coaching appointments with clients per day. Right now, I'm cutting way back because of other things in my personal life. Using your own personality knowledge is so helpful. You and I have that conversation a lot as friends of what that feels like for us in that space. So I think that's really helpful in the self-management piece. And now let's dive in more to applying a tool like the Enneagram in a coaching conversation through that lens of active listening. What are some basic things you could give us awareness on as you're listening to a client?
Listening to clients' language is huge. We talk about levels of listening. We're listening to be attentive, and some of that is that self management piece, but then moving a level down, even to say, listening for what is the client saying? And so, if they're coming with something that's exciting and they're discerning and really wanting to process, like, this is good or this might be a better option, and I just want to know which decision I make, and I'm discerning that and leaning in, we want to match that excitement and be present with them. They may be coming with big feelings. And so the Enneagram can inform that they might be a heart centered person. And so to invite them, if they're coming with those big feelings of excitement, to say, oh man, as that excitement, what are some things that are going through your mind as you consider this option? What are some things you've actually done? If you could imagine telling your friends and family that you're going to choose this, what would that feel like in your body? Inviting them to explore all three centers. You don't have to dive into type to really feel the benefit of the Enneagram, but
Mm.
just tapping all three centers of intelligence is huge.
I think that's really important about any tool that you use. You may know the tool really well. For both of us, we've studied the Enneagram for several years. We know it really well, but we have to make sure that we don't flow right over our client in this listening piece. We're holding back a little of what we know and feel and what we might project onto them. Active listening is matching it, asking questions. For example, I'm a very forward moving type. When I get with a coach, I want someone that can keep up with the pace. They're matching me, understanding that I probably want some actionable steps and things I'm going to move on right away, but to invite me to slow down and to move more into my body space. I naturally come from the high energy 3 forward moving space. I'm also looking for a coach who will draw me there a little bit more. How about for you, when you think about a coach that's going to meet you in these places, what are you looking for?
I told my coach when we were talking about approach, I said, as a head type and a natural thinker, questions are great. And I can do questions all day long and curiosity. But what I need, though, is direct communication. That doesn't mean to tell your client what to do, but just to be direct and maybe not ask a question. Wow, that's vulnerable, or that sounds risky. Not even in a judgmental way, but really being able to observe what it is that a client says. It might be towards a pain point. Is this a problem my client is coming to explore, or is it a pattern? I've worked with my coach long enough to be able to say, this is a pattern.
Mhm.
What are you going to do about that? How do you want that?
Oh, I love that. And I love what you say there too about working with someone over a long period of time. There's a difference in you and I as well. Sometimes I'm of the type or personality that will hire a coach for a specific skill set or problem they can solve. I lean towards the coach consultative type person, and I give my coach permission right up front to be that for me. That is my type. That's my energy. I also have people that I've coached with and been with for a very long time. I have a spiritual director that I've worked with for a very long time. Whereas your type, being more in the headspace of loyalty, safety, devotion, and faithfulness, that longevity then gives you the trust for that person to be very direct with you. So there's two ways that we're talking here. One is, how do you want to show up with your clients? And then how would you like a coach to show up with you as well? So there's a both and to this relationship of coaching, the client seat and the coaching seat. And the Enneagram can be helpful in both places. Now, I want you to explore just for a little bit, Erica, as someone that's worked with the tool for a long time. What do you see about the Enneagram that for you has given that longevity? Is there anything that comes to mind for you that you say, this is why for me, I haven't been able to find anything else that gives the same type of awareness that the Enneagram does.
Coupled with the work we do with needs and values, it has been one of the most valuable, impactful tools just because it's not something that you read and it just types you. Each and every day, there's opportunities because of the way it opens up awareness. When I'm triggered, when something hits me and my body tenses up, I can say in the moment, oh, that was similar to an experience I had in the past. And that experience was painful. I can start to feel vulnerable. And I just checked in really quickly in the moment. The person I'm with has no idea, but I'm also able to self regulate in the moment and go, that is not the same situation we're in. So I'm able to
Mhm.
change even my thought there, which is a tool we have as well, the now tool. I'm able to change my thought, which changes my feeling, which changes my action, and then I get a different result. The Enneagram is great because it really helps you to be in the moment and invites you to deeper levels of awareness.
You mentioned a tool that we've used and created into our own language called the Now tool. There's a circumstance that came up. I'm a little bit triggered by that, or it brings back some old memories. And then to be able to check in again with those three centers. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? How are you reacting or responding to that open, whole self response? And those three centers, to be honest, as I listen to clients and coach with clients, they're always pushing out of one center. If I, as a coach, can open up to them with some great questions or direct responses, those are where the aha moments come in a coaching call that invites them to that forward energy. We both love to see that happen and all come together. It is a tool in your toolbox. It's not the only thing. You've mentioned several others, but it's a tool that both of us have found super valuable. So, anything else you'd like to share as we wrap up this conversation?
I think whether a client is coming, you think there's so many different reasons a person might hire a coach. And so just noticing, are they coming with fear? Are they coming with anxiety? And are they stuck in their head? Is it a client that they're wanting to work on their values and process how they interact with others? That relational piece is important to them. And that's a heart space thing they're wanting to move forward in. Or do they have something that's just a sense of control that they're wanting? Their health is out of whack. And so there's all different reasons that a client might say, I want to
Mhm.
move forward in a different way. I think that the Enneagram is a tool that can help us be aware of where we are and then where we want to be. There's so many practices that go along with the tool of the Enneagram to bring us back towards that whole piece of our authentic self. And
Mm.
that's the goal, to say, hey, I'm out here on my edge. I remember saying to my coach last week, I was really ramped up about this when we started. And I just noticed my whole body is relaxed now that we're finishing this session.
That's a good session when you can go from one place to the other. So many times the Enneagram is described as a personality tool. And I don't disagree with that. But as you just said, there's so much more to it involving all of myself, personality, but it's spiritual practices, it's God's invitation to different things. There's so many layers to the tool. And we've touched the surface even in this series. Thank you for being with us. How can I, as a coach, take something and actively listen with my clients through a lens? We hope you've had a takeaway today, whether you're a coach or not, whether this is, wow, I could use this in conversation with my spouse or kids or coworker. Just go back and listen again and say, how would I want to approach that conversation differently? Thanks for being with us, Erica. Always appreciate you being on the podcast with me and helping me to explore different things.
It's always a joy, and I'm grateful to be here. We'll continue the conversation in the future.
Yes, we will. If someone wants to reach out to you, where is the best place they can find Erica Vincent?
Sure. Online, ericavincent.com is my website. You can also find me at thereallifeprocess.com, and we have a coaches page. I'm available there as well. You can get to my website and some connection information there too.
Yes, we're always thrilled that she's a part of our team and has really helped to build up the work that we do here at the Real Life Process. So come check us out, thereallifeprocess.com. You can also watch us on the YouTube channel and check out our new book that's out in the world as well. Do What Matters, Live from Rest, Not Rush. Remember, everyone, that every ordinary day has an extraordinary moment. You just have to look for them. Have a great day today. We'll be back next week.